It is Monday, October 20th, and you've dialed up Irish Illustrated Insider. I'm Tim O'Malley, joined by Tim Priester of Irish Illustrated, Pete Sampson of The Athletic, and John Bryce of Football Scoop. And guys, the national interest aspect of Notre Dame's 2025 football season remains intact as a result of a 34-24 victory over USC. That was going to be one heck of a death march if Notre Dame did not win that game through November with 3 losses in 8 games. But JB, we'll start with you. What impressed you most? What concern maybe does Notre Dame kind of carry over into its bye week?
I think the thing that absolutely impressed me the most was Notre Dame's resurgence on the defensive line. And USC is not a good offensive line team, but it had found a way schematically to run the ball very well against opponents, and Notre Dame had none of that. And then what Notre Dame did on the ground against the USC defense that hadn't just been atrocious against the run, that was coming off probably its best performance against a quality opponent against the run. And then also the fact that Notre Dame had a first ever starter at center who really had played nothing but mop up duty. We won't use that garbage time term like some people use in their phraseology of questions. But yeah, those are the elements to me. Like Notre Dame Saturday night put its stamp on what Marcus Freeman wants it to be, an O-line and D-line driven program. That doesn't mean that all L's are cured in any of those, because as we get to the concerns, my concerns, number one, are Billy Schrauth. It doesn't sound like he's necessarily going to be expected back for the next game or maybe even the game after that. It's early, but that's the word that I've been getting. And we know that Gabriel Rubio is out for an extended period of time with a significant elbow injury. So those are the health concerns. And then the other concern for me is Notre Dame in the red zone. That's two really bad red zone performances in consecutive weeks for the Fighting Irish.
I would agree. The defensive line, the performance of the defensive line was really outstanding. And I agree with you, JB. I mean, I think USC's offensive line was better when Notre Dame played them last year. They're a little beat up. Yeah, and the performance of, first of all, Jason Onye was really, really good for him. The best performance under the biggest circumstances that he's had. I thought Donovan Heinisch was good. Elijah Hughes, I think, played with a lot of inspiration. He's difficult to keep blocked sometimes. And then Jared Dawson, Tim, I haven't seen actually looked at the snap count. I don't think that he had as many as the other guys, but he was pretty productive. So that was positive, and really exactly the way Marcus Freeman described it with his pregame on-field interview was exactly what unfolded as far as what they wanted to do with Mekhi Lemon, what they had to do with the running game. The other thing I come away with is shame on USC for being so damn soft. Yeah, that's ridiculous what Notre Dame did to them. And Notre Dame's offensive line stepped up. All the praise in the world for Joe Otting and the game that Billy Schrauth was having before he got banged up, and he was still productive when he was banged up. But USC, you got to be kidding me. Your defensive tackles are lousy. Keyshawn, I really thought that Keyshawn Silver was a significant addition to their team from Kentucky. He stinks. He got blown away on Saturday.
Yeah, it felt like a 2024 game to me for Notre Dame, which is probably a comfortable place for Marcus Freeman to be, considering how 2024 went. So I would agree with all that. I actually am a little concerned Strouth will be out quite a bit longer than a couple games. I thought he played arguably the best game he's ever played here. So that's significant. It's like the love price combo was great. Again, I don't know why it would stop being great. One thing that I didn't write about this, and I don't know if we really talked about it or you guys talked about it instant analysis post, but I like Dallas Golden was good.
I did too.
And I don't think that I've ever felt that way coming out of a game before. I always felt like he was just kind of hanging on for dear life. And, it's like that's maybe a significant thing moving forward, because I really thought they were going to miss Devonta Smith in this game. And it's not like, Jacoby Lane didn't play well, despite having a nice stat line. Like it should have been a lot better. But, USC had some success in the past game, but I didn't think that Dallas Golden was really one of the reasons why.
I find it interesting because I mean, he'll go back to nickel, you assume, but he had success on the outside in this game, and
Yeah.
that's even a bigger compliment because that was playing field corner most of the time. He's transitioned to nickel for the last 3 weeks, and we already know one thing: Mark Zachary was the backup field corner to Christian Gray, which means Dallas Golden was the backup boundary in practice. So he moved to yet another spot and succeeded. I mean, if you think about it, it's not like he was playing third string field corner when they were before he got moved to nickel. So heck of a job by Golden. And then my number one takeaway is Jalen Sneed's playing better, and they found a role for Jalen Sneed. Figured they always should have been able to find a role for that speed. And when you saw him on the edge with Maeva, you're like, that's Sneed. Used to be like, oh, Jalen Sneed made a play. You knew that was Jalen Sneed chasing down the fourth down to kind of end the game when you saw that guy take off and run. Having him join the fray was a guy you can count on is big going forward. Concern would be I still don't. I know we're going to talk about this, but CJ Carr power and sticking his head in there isn't always going to be the way to go either. It was good that they did it. I said to Tim Priester before the touchdown, you can't run CJ Carr again like you did in game number 1. Then he got popped in the head. I'm like, oh, maybe that's why you don't run CJ Carr.
He got drilled. He got drilled there. Yeah. Yes. I thought, it was interesting to watch what they did with Moore in the slot when Malachi Lemon was in the slot. He only had 5 targets. He caught 4 passes. He had a big 42-yarder, which hurt them. But other than that, he didn't. And, and we talked about this leading up to the game. So if you're going to try to take him away, what's that going to do to USC's targets? And between Lane and Hines, and Pete, you're right. Lane dropped 3 passes, 2 at the goal line.
Yeah, really good player, didn't play that well.
Right. So between Lane and Hines, they were targeted 20 times. They only caught 11 passes. Now you had the big touchdown. That was, for about half of the yardage with those guys. But I thought that it was, again, the way Marcus Freeman described it, I think it worked out really, really well. You can take Leonard Moore and say, okay, you've practiced at nickel. That's about it. We're going to throw you in there in a game, and you'll learn on the fly. Maybe that's what Dallas Golden's doing. I think I agree.
It has to be, Tim. There's
exactly.
no way he was the third string field corner. He had to be the boundary. Yeah.
So that's really impressive. Well, I think with him, it starts. He's a tremendous athlete. He's got length. He's got reach. He's got change of direction.
He was just playing defensive back, running around.
Yeah, he was just playing DB, and I give him a lot of credit for. I think his technique's pretty good. Again, and I think that's where Christian Gray, Marcus Freeman mentioned. I think that's where Christian Gray runs into trouble. He gets a little panicked, and you can understand why he's panicked when he's playing against USC, and he has been 2 years in a row. But he always seems to find a way to bounce back and make a play. I know we have a question on this in the second half. I'm not as down on him as everybody else is, and I get why you're down on him because
I think you should save these thoughts because we have a very dedicated question to this one.
Okay, then I will save those thoughts and just throw it back to Dallas Golden and say, that dude's got a chance to be really good because he's just got a lot of natural ability. And as, the muscle memory kicks in fully for his technique, he's got a chance to be really good.
Yeah, I would just like to hop back in and kind of piggyback on Pete and his comments, especially on Shrouth. And I was being a bit guarded there by saying that. I would frankly be very surprised if we see Billy Shrouth or Gabriel Rubio again in the regular season. That's kind of how I would put it. And that's how it's been put to me. I think that Gabriel Rubio has a significant elbow injury, maybe even with some bone there. And then, the concern with Billy Shrouth is in the 6 weeks time frame, which would mean best case scenario would have him back for a playoff game. So, and then Noah Burnett was feeling it going into the game. Notre Dame wanted to give him a try. He wanted to try. He felt he could do it. We're in that situation again where we were last year with Money Mitch. The health factor there, you're like, oh, you need to see him make an important kick before playoff time. And Notre Dame's going to get into November and need to see Noah Burnett make a 45, 47-yard field goal kick in a significant setting. I would be stunned if Notre Dame gets into November and needs Noah Burnett to make a game-winning 45 or 47-yard field goal, but you maybe want to see him give you a field goal from that distance that gives you like a 17-7 lead in the first half or something like that. And then the last thing I would say, Haven't said it much this year, but absolutely need to emphasize that in this game, it was a headset win for Notre Dame. And it was a headset win going into the game because they had prepared Leonard Moore to shadow Mekhi Lemon, and they not only did that, but they adjusted the rest of their defense and overall did a very nice job. And they just said this guy's not going to beat us. And then that coupled with the performance they got out of their defensive line, even without Gabriel Rubio, and then the way that the offense presented some new wrinkles in the run game. I think emphatically it's a headset win for the Irish from Marcus Freeman down.
Look at it this way, JB. If they need a Burnett field goal in November to win a game, they'll be number 13 or 14 anyway, so you won't need them in the playoffs because that will not go well if they are voting and they need a field goal to beat Stanford or something along those lines. There will be some cosmetics involved, the way if obviously teams will start losing, and we'll get into that more next
What are you
week.
talking? What are you talking about to beat Stanford? Stanford just handled Florida State. How dare you besmirch their name?
Navy.
You don't want to go to a field goal game with any of these teams when the voters are sitting there watching. With
Navy's the best team on the
Yeah.
remaining. That's what I was going to say. All these injuries and this negative news. Thank God for Boston College and Navy and Pittsburgh and Syracuse and Stanford. Pittsburgh's found something with their quarterback.
I was going to say I've got to give you credit now, TP, because you've banged the Narduzzi drum all season.
Yeah.
And they found a little something after absolutely wilting like spoiled lettuce against West Virginia and Louisville. Games they led West Virginia by 10 points with less than 6 minutes to go in the game. They led Louisville 17-0 at home and found a way to lose that game. But that's the game that the quarterback and the OC got into it, and one of them told the other one, F you. And that's when they made the switch after that. So now they've made the switch, and this freshman is evoking comparisons to Kenny Pickett. And then when you talk to the coaching staff, they'll tell you, honestly, he's way further along than Kenny Pickett.
Another good thing is you have the bye week, and then you have Boston College, who's incapable of beating Notre Dame at this time. They're really, really in a very bad way. Navy, Navy's not going to spit up the football like they did last year. The odds are very much against that. So Chris Ash.
Tim, Pete has a stat on this. Do you remember it? We were walking out about Navy. The Havoc stat you gave me.
Oh, yeah. Notre Dame, I think, had like 2 Havoc plays against Navy because it doesn't count as a Havoc play when the guy just drops the ball.
They had 5 fumbles, and Notre Dame had 2 Havoc plays. That's insane. Yeah. Like, that's just them dropping the ball. Yeah, that's not something you think will continue, of course.
Eli Heidenreich. I'm telling you.
That's right.
It's a very Pittsburgh name.
You got to be concerned with Eli Heidenreich when Navy comes along.
Like Caden Noonkester for the punter for the NC State team. Before we kind of finish up with these injuries, there was 2 things I wanted to circle back to. Priester, we get asked about stuffs a lot. I had 14, not including sacks. That would be a high, but it's really a high because they didn't run the ball enough to get stuffed 14 times. USC, that's where it's relevant. I mean, if you run the ball 48 times, you get stuffed 14. It's not that good of a game, but the stuff rate would be very high. And Adon Schuler played a heck of a football game. We haven't mentioned his name yet. It was pretty easy to pick him as the defensive MVP. But when you look down, I try to write down like the best player each drive, and it was this. None. The first drive, if you recall. There was no top player on that drive. Schuler and Gray, Sneed, Bowen, Johnson, and Schuler, Johnson, Dallas Golden, Onier, and Schuler, none. Gray, Schuler, KVA, Gray, Schuler, and Sneed. That's a lot of Schuler. It's a heck of an effort.
And they were all, I mean, to substantiate that, they were significant plays. They were like drive-altering plays that he was making.
He's what we thought he would be going into the Miami game, and that was really the only game.
Think about how their defense has played since he came back from having to sit out the first half against Purdue.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't think that's there's a lot of other components, of course, but I don't think that's a coincidence that for 18 quarters since he got back, they've been really, really good.
Yeah, and Tay Johnson.
Him too. Yeah.
He's reading stuff too. It's not just an athlete running around making plays like you figured, let's give it a shot. But 2 weeks in a row, he's read plays where you're like, wow, that was a call by him.
We're seeing the ascendancy of Tay Johnson's football IQ right in front of us.
Yeah, it's like I love him moving forward as soon as he gets like the moving backwards part down a little bit better, just like reading zone coverages and like kind of flowing. There's, he kind of like turned the wrong way on a bomb. Yeah, he's got the whole thing. So that's a next level player.
Yeah, the last thing I would say about concerns for me, I mentioned red zone, but 9 of 15 in their last two games. You can't do
That's
what
right.
you're constructed to do and what now is in front of you to do if you're a 60% red zone team. The plus is that 8 of those 9 scores were touchdowns, but you still need to be more than a barely 50% touchdown team in the red zone, and you damn sure have to be more than a 60% scoring team in the red zone.
We didn't discuss CJ Carr, and I didn't include this question because I figured we would discuss CJ Carr, but it was a pretty good one. I mean, you knew that something like that was coming. That was his actual off game. And Martin Evenflow wondered, did CJ Carr hit a bit of a wall in making some improvements? There were some similar errors to previous weeks. Is this an anomaly, or do you expect that bye week will straighten everything out and CJ Carr? This was his anomaly, and CJ Carr will be back.
The phrase "the bye week came at a good time." It absolutely came at a good time for CJ Carr. And now, we keep hearing this that he's playing as well as any quarterback in the. No, he's not. No, he's not
anymore.
No, in the last 2 weeks. But I'm not saying that to be critical because
No, it's just the last 2 weeks, and that's
right,
1/3 of the season so far.
if you don't go into this, like how many people? I don't know about you guys, but I actually had a wedding to attend last night, Sunday night, and
none of us had a wedding to attend, if that was what you were wondering.
and an 80-year-old
No,
woman
I did
said to
not.
me, "Well, what about the quarterback?" I'm like an 81-year-old woman said to me, "What about the quarterback?" And I'm like, young quarterbacks make mistakes, and I mean the interception is just that shouldn't happen. He
No,
should
that's
know better than that, by now. But I mean, opponents get the book on a quarterback, and they know how to rush him. And I just think that he's a little and Marcus Freeman said, I mean, he's in his head a little bit with some of these little turnout routes, which he was money through September, and now he's missing on those. So he needs a week off. He needs to decompress a little bit. He's going to be really good. But young quarterbacks do that. I'm not as concerned as a lot of people are because he kind of set the standard at perfection early on, or really, really high. And he just hasn't been able to live up to that. He needs a week off.
I thought it was, I mean, one of the things about Carr that when you talk to people who have worked with him is like, he's a real perfectionist. And I don't mean that as a compliment. He gets in his own head pretty quickly, and he has a heart. Like, he doesn't do the one play, one life thing that Marcus talks about. And I think it was interesting. You watched like the TV copy back. Denbrock actually like really gets in his face on the
Oh,
sideline.
yeah, he got it.
I mean, like, like I don't want to say hit him, but like slapped his shoulder pads pretty hard, and like that's as animated as I've seen Mike Denbrock. And it was after he missed like Eli Raridon on like an outbreaking route that he throws 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
And then after the pick, Denbrock's more like, I know you screwed that up, so I don't need to tell you that.
But let me yell at you about something else.
I think it was 99% a mental sort of breakdown for Carr on Saturday night, and like that sometimes happens with young quarterbacks, and like now it doesn't make sense that maybe he had some bad training camp practices. The mystery was removed a little bit on Saturday night when the pressure got really turned up against USC.
And USC was when you say mental, sorry, JB, USC's can make it mental for a first-time starting quarterback too. It's not like he didn't hear that stuff.
Well, not just that, but Danton Lynn, his thing is they will blitz from any of the 11 positions on the defensive side of the ball. And that's a great way to confuse a younger quarterback. And once again, I was getting ready to make the same point that Pete just made, is that when you talk to people and you see how CJ Carr has pressed, and I think it's fair to say he's pressed, especially in the red zone. That's what he did in training camp when the quarterback position or the quarterback battle lingered longer than anyone expected it to. We all know that he was expected to piggyback his spring performance and what he had done in the summer and be named the starter really by like Sunday, August 9th. And it just didn't happen. And it had far more to do with the pressing and the making every throw, whether he should have made every throw.
Positive injury news before we go to break. Cooper Flanagan playing means Cooper Flanagan after a bye should be good to help out in November. That when Cooper Flanagan's healthy, that will help the red zone offense, goal to go offense, red zone offense as well, because he was in there in playoff games blocking and first playoff game in the end of the year last year. That's good. I don't know a Micah Gilbert timetable. That's the one guy I have no information on the hand, but he was out Go ahead, JB.
I think that's a broken bone in his hand. So once again, I don't know if Pete has additional
I
information,
do not.
but
And
that
is it his hand? I only ask because he broke 2 fingers to start spring ball, if you recall. That seems like it was a year and a half ago, but it was this spring. He broke 2 fingers
I
on the
know.
first. Yeah.
I think it's the left hand, and I think that's what it was in the spring. But I'm quite certain. I was told left hand this time. I know it's hand, and I was told broken bones. So that's again, you're talking probably a 6 weeks timeline, which has happened a couple of weeks ago. So could he get back and play a game, a late regular season game, just to knock off some rust before the playoffs? I don't know, but that's where that one is. I was told.
Final 2 guys where Devonta Smith he was deemed out before the game. He was questionable during the week. Jaden Greathouse was deemed game time decision, but he never came out in pads, so it was less of a decision for Greathouse. Though they did have almost no warm up. Maybe that knocks you out as a game time decision when you have a thigh injury or a wide receiver. That could be. There's no way we can find out if he can play or not.
And like when it's a thigh, quad, hamstring, you're not going to risk that on a sloppy track.
Yeah.
And that was a nasty, nasty evening. But again, you see Greathouse engaged. He was right there with his teammates in that truncated pregame warm up. So we don't get the indication that it's anything nefarious or that it's not a legitimate hamstring quad deal that they're continuing to bring him back from.
I don't think. I mean, I'm sure they had a conversation after 4 games, as we've all talked about, but I don't think the conversation went poorly because Marcus Freeman wouldn't have him on the sideline. We know that he doesn't allow people that say, "I want to go." Pete's laughing. When someone says, "I want to go to the portal," you say, "Well, you're going to the portal completely. Then you're off my team." So I don't think Jaden Greathouse is doing that at this point. Segment 1 was brought to you by the RV Manufactured Housing Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana. In addition to the museum and various exhibition halls, the campus is open to the public for free camping and is less than an hour from Notre Dame's campus, so no reservation is required. Whether you're looking to learn more about the history of recreational vehicles in the Kinlan Library or simply a cost-effective, interesting place to stay on your family road trip, the RV Manufactured Housing Hall of Fame can provide exactly what you're looking for. We'll be back with segment 2, Burning Up the Boards. With football season in full swing, I've been looking to find the best deal on Notre Dame tickets, both for family and friends, but also as a memorable gift idea. That's why I want to offer the sponsor of today's Burning Up the Boards, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. So whether you're an Irish fan looking for a ticket to one of Notre Dame's 2 remaining home games, or any of college football's season-defining matchups down the road, SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use Irish10, that's all capital letters and the number 10, for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. 10% off any tickets with the promo code Irish10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. Our first question, this is in honor of bye week, which Tim Priester just mentioned is coming at a good time. He's right. From Panini Man, can we hear some mid-season awards of the bye week, please? I guess they don't read Monday Musings, but that's okay. Offensive MVP, defensive MVP, improved, pleasant surprise, disappointing. Let's start with Tim Priester. I'll go down the list for all of them with everybody first. Offensive MVP, Priester.
Love.
Pete.
Love.
JB.
Yeah.
Got to include the USC game.
You're just wasting time until you say love.
All right. Fine. God, peer pressure.
Defensive MVP. We're going to start with Pete because I know his answer. Go ahead.
Leonard Moore.
I'm going to say Leonard Moore despite missing the Arkansas game. That's a joke from a previous podcast.
Yes.
I'll be the contrarian that goes to Don Schuler.
I'm going to stay with Leonard Moore instead of being a contrarian. Most improved, JB.
CJ Carr, because we didn't know, and this guy is starting, and we're sitting here nitpicking a performance where he was 16 for 26 for whatever, $160, a touchdown, a pick, and he rushed for a touchdown. He's a guy who's made 7 career starts, so I know it's hard to call him most improved because he didn't get on the field last year, although he got hurt last year, so he's improved a hell of a lot from that injury. CJ Carr.
Priester?
I'd say Faison. I mean, just from being healthy, but He's a good football player, man. It was just didn't we just recently have somebody ask a question or comment on our message board about, well, Faison's just another guy. I don't care if he was a walk on. He's more than that.
Yeah, Jadarian Price, the close second for me.
That's my order too. I think Pete, you said the same, right? Faison over Price.
For most improved, I think Raridan.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought his head was kind of in the clouds early the other night too. From the out.
I don't know. I thought he played better than that.
No, I mean early on. Like I thought that first pass, which could have easily been, it was off his hands. That could have been picked.
It was hot. He got hurt. I think it was the pass that Carr missed him on the immediately after his left arm got pinned under his own body and he went to the injury tent.
Pleasant surprise. I thought he'd be good, but Tay Johnson.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking most improved since he was on the team last year. But I mean, he's got a chance to be really, really good, man.
Yeah, if you say Tay Johnson's going to start, I'd be like, sure. But if you said Tay Johnson's going to start, I'm like, is that Johnson or Schuler when he makes a play? That I didn't expect.
Yeah.
I'll go Elijah Hughes. I didn't think that was a thing at all when I got him, and he's quite good.
I'll go KK Smith for the sake of nobody wants to hear the same damn answer 4 times, no matter what you say, Leonard Moore.
Leonard Moore probably is also the most pleasant surprise so far for me, I would say, if I had to throw it there. He's disappointing. I'll start it off because people don't like this one. I'm not going to say Ty Washington because I didn't think that was a thing to borrow from Pete Sampson. So to this point, even though he's playing a little better than people give him credit for, I'd say Bryce Young.
I do think there's been an uptick. I mean, I thought there were a couple 3 or 4 instances where he was impactful against USC, which is where you want him to be. But it's kind of difficult not to throw his name out there for this category.
Jaden Grayhouse doesn't count because of injury. I thought the offensive tackles would be better. They're fine, but I thought they'd be really good. Wagner in particular. I thought we'd be talking about a day 2 NFL pick, and I'm not sure that we really.
Yeah, it's never
they're coming back. That's right.
It's never. I hear what you're saying, but it's never a physical play with him. It's positioning and walling off, and that's just who he is as an offensive lineman. Which is, I don't know how well that translates to the next level. It works pretty well here.
It should work pretty well for another year here too.
Well, that's when you start. That's a conversation for another day because then you have to start talking contracts and
I know
what you're prepared to pay versus what you plan to pay and
tackle's tough. Tackle's tough to replace.
I would say, I mean, I'm in the group with Pete. I'd probably be a little more toward the left tackle. And he's been dinged up a little bit, but there's been some moments that probably.
I might go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
he's really good run block.
We're going to say TJP.
Well, I mean, it's not like Carr's under siege because of the left tackle. He's running into sacks. He's not.
That was a CJ Carr sack. And by the way, I said that to you as soon as he got sacked. And not the Pro Football Focus has the final word, but no sacks were allowed by Notre Dame on that because it means that CJ Carr was the sack, was the culprit.
He had pressure to his right, so I understood why he wanted to spin out of it. He just didn't have awareness to his left as to what was happening there.
I think Pete. Very briefly, I think we can say Greathouse for most disappointing. I mean, I know he got hurt, but for 4 games, he was targeted 8 times, and they desperately needed him the first 2 games to make plays. Yeah. I'd go Greathouse. Freshman of the year, last one in this long category.
CJ Carr.
Cheater, but yes, that's true.
I was thinking in terms of true freshmen, so I'd say Dallas Golden.
Yeah, that's mine. Dallas Golden.
Is Gerby redshirt freshman? He is.
Yeah.
Just because I've already said CJ Carr.
Our next question this is a doubler. It's about Christian Gray. Here you go, Priester. You get to go first. Irishman 50. We have to address the elephant in the room. Christian Gray is a liability in the secondary. These are not my words. I would like to point that out as a member of IrishIllustrated.com. Yes, he had an interception, but USC picked on him the last 2 years. OSU did in the national championship game. Could ND make a deep playoff run with Gray? And a little bit more context from Lake Michigan 25. What is it about Christian Gray's play that time and time and time again results with him giving up a lot of yards and penalties and all of a sudden the critically important interceptions?
Well, he's a gamer. And, he like, can they make it? They made a deep run with him last year. So I don't, but can they beat the Ohio States and the USC level receiving core with him in the lineup? Maybe not. But I also think that he makes a lot of plays that are just taken for granted. I think that he's good in coverage most of the time. Blackledge kept saying he had 2 interferences. I think he had 4 the other night.
He could have had more.
He could have,
Yeah, well, yeah, he could have. I thought the one where he reached in front, but he had a hand on the guy's back. I don't remember which receiver. That was a flag. I mean, I think like if a DB has the reach to, to disrupt the path to the football to the receiver, that's not really interference. But look, he is what he is, and I'll say it for the millionth time. The worst thing that ever happened to him was the recruitment of Morrison and Moore. Of course, you're going to go at him, but I think he's good most of the time. It's when you get against the elite receiving the elite receiving cores that he struggles.
He seems like so frantic.
He's too emotional. There's no and man, did you see him all dialed in? I think he was sitting on a bench and had a camera on him, and that was probably a result of the conversation that he had with Marcus Freeman. And I'm going to show you. He's overly emotional for a corner. That's not a great position to be too emotional at.
No, it's the worst one, in fact, other than quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what else is not a good position to be too emotional?
Kicker.
Sports writer and coach.
Oh, kicker.
And I was both.
Kicker's bad too. Those emotional kickers are never great. Pete, that's a great point by you. He also, we have to bring it up, man. He plays field corner and he has to play one-on-one so often. He's gonna get beat.
So it's probably on this podcast. I feel like I was defending him for the last couple of weeks as because of his field corner and Leonard Moore's over there, I even talking to Christian Gray a couple of weeks ago. Just you're going to get a lot of work, and that's all true. And I thought that he was kind of unjustly criticized through the first 6 games. But against USC, he did not play well at all.
I have coverage to back your point. I don't do it every game because sometimes it doesn't matter, Mr. Sampson. But I do coverage wins and losses. I did every pass that mattered in this game, and it was really hard to watch the game doing it. I'm never going to do it again unless they play Ohio State, and then I'll only have to do it for a half. But Christian Gray had 6 coverage wins and 10 coverage losses, and I include penalties as a loss. And if people are wondering why, that's one more target than he actually had because the NCAA didn't count the 2-point conversion scored on him without even blinking an eye. That's a coverage loss too. It gave up 2 points. It counts, Tim Priester. Those count. I don't know why those don't count.
I'm not saying that he hasn't been picked on and that he hasn't given up yards. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying more is
I wasn't saying what you're I'm saying
what I'm saying more is what you're saying. Yeah. He's a cornerback, man. I mean, it's the worst damn position to play in football. You are always going to get beaten in every game. This one was a particularly bad one for him. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
JB, go ahead, JB.
I was just going to say, we also can't ignore the fact that USC dropped back 42 times and Maeva was hurried only 6 times. So not only was he covering a future NFL receiver, but there were some times where USC had 5-6 seconds to let a play develop, and it's damn near impossible to have any prayer of holding coverage for that long without holding a receiver, which is what happened a few times. So you can't ignore that he's slumping again at the wrong time of the season. You also can't ignore for all of his frenetic behavior in the biggest moments, he typically shows some pretty strong mental fortitude that I think is key. And where Notre Dame is right now, I think you focus more on fixing Christian Gray than you do trying to replace Christian.
Oh, you can't replace. No way. Somebody else will get absolutely
Tim,
ravaged.
think about some of the.
I know, but that's what people want. Like,
Yeah, they're
and I
crazy.
get it. I get it. I do want to get it.
You can. This is why I'm throwing it at you, Tim. You can vouch for the fact that you can do a hell of a lot worse than Christian Gray.
Hell
some
yes.
of the corners that have come through Notre
Oh
Dame
my God.
that have been picked on repeatedly. At least, like you say, JB, at least Christian Gray responds to that adversity at some point in the game.
So much so that at one point, and this is what people remember, here's the coverage things. So there's probably runs in between here, but this is the passes. Christian Gray, I put down pass defense, but pass interference was called. Christian Gray, deep touchdown allowed. Christian Gray, 2-point conversion allowed. Christian Gray, 11-yard gain allowed. Christian Gray, third down, Tanook Hines moves the chains. Christian Gray, interception. That's how you bounce back from these things, because that's a heck of an effort. Yeah, and we love Dallas Golden's future. You throw Dallas Golden out there against USC with 17 targets, you'd have seen a shredding of a player. Next question's from Henry Bede. Which younger players could have a bigger role after the bye week?
Joe Otting.
Great call there, John.
Nice one. And then you got to drop your mic and walk away. See you later.
Yeah,
Sullivan Absher.
Podcast. I'll talk to you Thursday.
Priester said Sullivan Absher. He trumped you. That's good.
Well, Sullivan Absher's not going to snap the ball every time.
Yeah.
I don't think he did trump me.
Joe
Riddle me that.
Joe Otting destroyed their defensive tackles. He consistently beat their defensive tackles from the opening series, from the 62-yard run on down.
Man, when you watch that 62-yard run, the way Love sets it up to he set up Otting's block.
Yes,
it is so good. I mean, it's like NFL level. Like, I'm gonna fake you out while you're 5 yards away from me, and then it's like he ran him into the Joe Otting pick block. It was awesome.
and I would say you already alluded to it, and I touched on Billy Strouth a week ago because one of the touchdowns against NC State, he was sublime. One of the early touchdowns in this game, he just absolutely kicked out and destroyed the interior defender for USC.
It was the Love run. It was the Love 12-yard run, I think.
Yeah. He didn't get a twofer on it, but he kicked him out and was ready to add an extra slab of beef, as Cole Kubelik would say.
You know, I mean, watching Otting, like, I was a little surprised at just how strong he was in holding blocks. You know, you can bend him a little bit. You can get him to elongate a little bit with his upper body, but he still keeps his feet planted in the ground. Now, that's a guy that's holding the point of attack, even when he's been physically compromised by a defensive tackle. He did a great job.
I think this is different level of more work, but because he plays a position with 4 good players. But Madden Frame keeps getting better, and we'll get looks too along the way, because he's going to be a better player than some of those guys in the future. So maybe he's getting that a little bit now as time moves on. I'm not saying he's taking one of their jobs. Just see him out there in high leverage at some point.
Yeah, and Dallas Golden and Mark Zachary as well.
Tim, did we skip that third question, or we?
No, we can. Well, go ahead and read that one. Yep.
Okay, that's from Corn Dog Connor.
Great name.
You are picking questions,
names,
not by names, aren't you? Is Notre Dame's 2026 wide receiving yards leader currently on the roster? How about tight end receiving leader next year? What about running back rushing leader?
I'll start with the latter. The running back rushing leader is not on the roster right now.
I think that's that's probably right.
There's so much hype around Nolan James. I'm not saying
other guys are in the world work. I would go Faison. Well, he's the leader now. He could be the leader next year too.
I would say Faison too.
Yeah, maybe Faison, and then Flanagan will be the
I was going to say Flanagan.
Which one?
Cooper.
I think James Flanagan's probably the better receiving prospect.
Yeah. But Cooper, I think more.
If I had to bet today, I'd say Cooper ends up with more receptions than James, just because logic jumps into it a little bit there. But I know what you're saying. If you're saying Cooper Flanagan next year or James Flanagan when he's a junior, then James Flanagan would be my guy.
We're gonna have trouble with 2 Flanagans on the field at tight end.
And don't they spell their names differently?
They
Yeah.
do spell their names different, but they pronounce it the same way.
They will be forever pronounced. They won't appear in anything I write.
All right. Our next question. You guys are in agreement on the running back thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm holding out hope that 24 is around, but probably not. So I get it.
I mean,
That's a bad decision by him.
no, I disagree.
I don't. I go get paid by that. I go get my second NFL contract.
I mean, if he's really RB3,
No, Jadarian Price.
yeah,
Right.
no, I'm saying if Jadarian Price is really the third running back off the board,
Right.
Gotta go.
yeah,
That's why.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I thought it
Absolutely.
was a bad decision by him.
No, a bad decision to cut. Priester said he wants 24 to be back. I said that would be a horrible decision by him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would go for sure.
Yeah, he's never, especially after that kickoff return again, like NFL teams are going to covet that.
Boy, and he doesn't have a lot of tread taken off those tires,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to just love about his game, and it's again was just pointed out to me by a guy with deep NFL experience over the weekend. He goes, "You better be Kyle Hamilton if you think you can only come to the NFL and play one position." And his point was, and Kyle Hamilton has actually played nickel for us. So,
Yeah, he can play multiple positions if he wants to. Yeah.
but NFL teams, as they dive deeper on Jadarian Price, are going to see those special teams moments. And
Boy, you don't have two running backs as high draft picks from the same team in the same year
but
very often. I was just the other day. I said he's not a first round pick, and the way running backs go, he probably isn't. But
he's probably top 50 at this point.
Yeah.
And I would just say, is the running back on the roster? I'm not predicting this per se. I'll say people that are in the Goog and smarter than me about that stuff are ridiculously high on Nolan James for whatever that's worth.
I just think they'll lose 4 running backs, and they'll go get a running back to go along with, and they won't go get a bad running back to go along with the 2 freshmen coming in.
What do you mean they're going to lose 4 running backs?
I think Jabron Payne going to a graduate year will try to go. I think Aeneas Williams will try. I
thought you meant Nolan James being one of them.
I see no reason for Nolan James to be one of the backs. Of all the backs on the team, he's the most likely to be back on the team next year, all 6 backs. Yes. I'd say Nolan James is far and away number 1 on that one.
I misunderstood.
Yeah. Rye Guy, 0917. This is going to be an interesting conversation. I like how he words it, though. Regarding officiating, is there a horrendous trend going on with officiating for home games, or are we just fanning, and this is how we react to officiating every year? I like that he offers some perspective, guys. It just seems to be insanely bad, specifically the home games.
Well, it's been bad against Notre Dame in the recent home games.
Yeah, yes, it has been bad against Notre Dame in the recent home games. Actually, I never even pay attention to officiating. I'm like, are you serious? Like 3 times in the last 3 weeks.
But Kobe on UK had a tackle on the 100-yard kickoff return. That was not called. But
it's a bad tackle is what you're saying. I'm just kidding.
No, he was blocking.
Yes.
But he was supposed to be blocking, but he tackled number 29.
A&M Donovan Heinisch level tackle.
Yes.
Actually, it's probably worse than that because it was around his neck.
Yeah, he did. He had a horse collar going. But Notre Dame had 8 penalties, USC had 1 that were officially called. If was it the Boise State game where we had 1 billion penalties? Yes, it was, right?
Yes.
NC State was a bunch too, right?
Yeah, but Boise was the first one because NC State's fan reaction was to Boise along with NC State. Remember?
Yeah.
We were joking. The NC State people were probably like, "Why are they so mad?"
Having rewatched the game pretty closely into late last night, there should have been about as many penalties as there were both teams in the Boise State game.
Ooh, that would have been a bad game.
Yeah.
Maybe there were not that many penalties because they were aware that Mother Nature was wreaking havoc and the game must go on. So they
that's why they were reviewing the interception at the goal line.
Yeah. My God, what took so long?
Yeah, I don't know.
What took so long? How the hell did it get called in the first place?
Yeah.
I didn't go through it and see the calls missed on USC. I'm sure there were some, but rewatching the tape, I felt like there were 6 calls where Notre Dame could have been flagged and wasn't.
That's what I'm saying.
the deal that Notre Dame makes playing their corners and their DBs, like
Yes,
that's how they play. They force you to call that. So they called it.
I was going to say 6 of the 8 penalties were holding or pass interference. There was a false start, and then there was one other penalty. I don't remember what the other one was. It was shoot, I could look. Offsides. Notre Dame went offsides. So that's 2-1 without the pass interferences and the holds. It's kind of like the Michigan State game in 2013, everybody's favorite game. You're either going to call it every single time on Denard and what's his name that was actually going to be in
Trey Waynes?
Yes, Trey Waynes and Denard, or you're not going to call it every time. But what we're going to do is we are going to grab you and shove you every single time, man to man, and see what happens.
Yeah, and you wonder if that was a Lincoln Riley talking point to the officiating crew before the game. Because
it should be.
Would have been.
Not like Notre Dame hasn't shown that on film before.
That's how they play.
Yeah, exactly. But I would be stunned when the coaches held their pregame meetings with the officials if Lincoln Riley did not.
Like when I say that, the officiating has been, it's been one-sided against Notre Dame in terms of calls at home. I'm not.
Well,
I think we're
NC
different.
State were such weird plays to go against them, Tim. Like you're like, what? A couple of times.
I know, but yeah. I get that. But what differentiates us from I think others is that, like, I don't think those calls are being, like, there's the perception on the outside that the ACC officials are purposely calling things against Notre Dame. I'm not saying that. I realize that most people think that the officials are cheating against Notre Dame. I'm just saying calls have gone against them.
I just don't think they're doing a very good job.
Yeah, I don't think most people think they're cheating. That would be weird.
But you understand what I'm saying, Tim. That's the perception of why questions like this are being asked, that the refs are cheating against Notre Dame. I'm sorry, I don't believe that in most instances anyway.
Well, I just think that they're overall pretty poor officiating around the sport this year. And as frustrated as I understand Notre Dame fans being, Notre Dame is a little more penalty prone this year, and then watch an Auburn game or two and really find some people to commiserate with and some people deserving of the wine and cheese. And maybe it's a Beja wine, but find a way to, like, it's bad, I think, around the sport. And I applaud the ACC for applying more transparency, for letting you hear more of the replay action. The Big 12 is doing that. The SEC is not. The Big 10 is not. So when you've got fans paying attention more than ever to the officiating, an extra layer of transparency can go a long way.
What's the solution and what's the reason?
I think the number one solution to me would be a national association of officials that you assign. Now,
we had a question asking if they could do that.
Yeah, if you do that, you've got to do it in the off season, and you've got to use those crews to work spring games all around the country, because chemistry among an officiating crew is a real thing.
Absolutely.
I take that directly from conversations with officials and officials at the collegiate level. Like, they have to know who they're working with. So I think that's the number one thing, is that they should do a national association, but you would have to form that in January, make your kind of pool your assignments in February, and then get those dudes working spring games, March, April, all over the country.
I think a lot of people well, that guy's terrible, fire him. You're going to replace him with a less experienced guy, and it's going to be worse. So that's not the solution to the problem. The problem is, and I've said this before, and it's never received well, it's an incredibly difficult game to officiate. Basketball is incredibly difficult to officiate. Balls and strikes are incredibly difficult to call correctly, which is why maybe as early as next year, Major League Baseball will have where, like, I don't think you can question every ball strike pitch, but you're going to be able to have a certain amount that you can have reviewed real quickly. It's officiating these games with these amazing athletes on the field. That's the biggest problem. It's ridiculously difficult to do it correctly.
I'd like to be an NBA official where I could just decide what I interpret as right or wrong and move on from there as the play happens.
And therein lies why I don't watch the NBA.
Yeah. From Dan Kelly, This is a great question. I hadn't thought about it. And he, by the way, is, I believe, leaving the country as he asked this question. For years, ND has traveled the country, often playing a game on the East Coast one weekend and the West Coast the next. The outside fans and media don't often consider this when the Irish have dead legs out there against USC. So my question is, did the rest of college football world, with their conference realignment, just F around and find out that traveling isn't all that easy? It's a great question.
Just ask USC. It's harder for them apparently than anybody else.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's some institutional knowledge, like Notre Dame just kind of knows how to do it. Like, it's a bit of a disruptive time for Washington going to Michigan, or Oregon handled it playing at Rutgers just fine. It just, yeah, I don't know. It's a challenge. It's hard to play on the road usually anyway. But on the flip side, I don't know. Indiana went to Oregon and looked pretty good. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer to this one is.
Maybe Oregon likes to travel to Rutgers and Penn State. They like the area and they don't like to be home. That could be it also, Pete. There you go.
Shout out Dan Kelly for the FAFO into his question. Yes. That's really good. Yeah, I mean, you guys know I harped on it last year immensely that that probably would have been a Swarbrick schedule, that he had done an immense disservice to have Notre Dame play at New York one week and the very next week cross country to USC, especially with everything the season had on the line.
Got them both times.
At that point, I think also we need to address the fact that USC is very cognizant of this, which is why they want the Notre Dame game moving forward to be played earlier in the season. When you ask about these teams effing around and finding out, to me, it's because now they're doing it multiple times. Now it's USC at Purdue, and then it's USC at Illinois, and then it's USC at Notre Dame, and that's 3 times, I think, in a 5-week span or something. That's a bit more significant than having.
Well, that's correctable, right? I mean, you can.
Well, how correctable is it when you've got 4 outliers and the rest of the league?
I get you. No, that's why the solution to the problem is the teams that, the schools that are on the West Coast should have their own conference and stay out there.
Yeah.
Imagine.
The solution to the problem is the 40 to 50 team Super League that maybe will arrive by 2030 or 2031, and you revert back to some geographical sense, and you collectively bargain your TV deal, and we'll see. So,
Tim, are we skipping questions here, or what's going on?
No, we'll be coming up on number 7 right here.
One was,
but you just asked number 8.
One.
Now we pulled one. I'll go ahead and answer that. We pulled the question, remember, from the beginning of the I sent you a text and an email, so it's okay. We're not skipping them. But we can move on to this question.
Obviously, I didn't see the text and email. You just fire away, man.
Yes, I think it's this one. We're using that for another day, but you'll read about why we're using it for another day when you see the text or the email. So it's good. This is CJ Davis made an easy question, actually. CJ Davis 24. Has ND solved their short yardage issues with the return of QB Blast?
Nope.
Yeah, no, overall, no. In a big spot in like the playoff, yes. Like, you can't run that if you run that against Stanford, I'm like, what are we doing?
Don't run it against Pitt. Pitt actually got mean dudes.
We don't need to see it the rest of the season. But it will be on the table when they're playing Ole Miss in December.
I don't mind the selective use of the QB draw, which we saw some against Miami, and we saw it again this weekend. I do like that. I do think CJ Carr has shown a modest skill set to handle the QB draw, the designed QB draw, and to execute it well. But no, I don't think it's solved.
My problem is I have this image etched in my mind of quarterback runs, and it looks a whole hell of a lot different when I'm picturing Riley Leonard doing it compared to CJ Carr.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I mean, I'm glad they used it against USC. They needed to. I literally said to Priester, "Where the hell is the QB run that he scored twice?" Or that's why they came back in the game against Miami with CJ Carr doing it, and then he got popped. To Pete's point, so QB draw December 20th, 1st and goal, clinging to a 7-3 lead in the second quarter. I think you'll probably see that. But yeah, if he gets hurt against Boston College or Navy on a QB draw.
That's more depressing than your end of last week's USC preview, Mo Malley.
Worked out for everybody. Just there. All right, our next question. This is a good one. Could have used it. This is a 12-month of a year question. Sunny B at 24/7S. I assume that means sports. With revenue sharing a hard cap, if Notre Dame lands a high-profile flip in the 2026 class, does Notre Dame then have to let an incoming NIL commit go or move on from a current player after the season? And I think, JB, you started answering this question earlier today.
Well, maybe I did. I don't know. I don't
When you
remember.
said that's a conversation for another
Oh,
time, someone's coming
oh,
back.
okay. All right. Well, yeah, once again, teacher, I had not read that far down the assignment. I take them one question at a time. We take them one game at a time.
I was thinking at the top of the text where it said, "We're removing this question," was the best way to explain it, but there was.
I'm sorry. I very
Really
much
wasn't.
for every Irish Illustrated insider, I very much just deploy a one question, one life approach. Uh, But yeah, the short answer is yes, Notre Dame would have to move on from a current player, or Notre Dame will be having difficult roster conversations with some members of its current roster. It has to do that the way the finances work. It has to do that because it has not signed players at this point in time to any multi-year deals. There's not a player on the Notre Dame roster that has a multi-year deal. Because of that, that means everybody technically is up for renewal or encouragement of finding a different space. So, but also from an NIL standpoint, I will reiterate what we said last week. Jeremiah Love's deal with New Balance is 100% NIL. It doesn't have jack to do with Notre Dame's ref share. So if Jeremiah Love's making $2 million from New Balance, that means $2 million more that Notre Dame has to distribute around from its rev share in theory.
Yeah, this is not a hypothetical conversation. This is going on right now at Notre Dame. We'll see. We'll see if they have to do this. But yeah, I've heard some stuff that this is a real thing right now.
It's not going to be popular, but it is the game that we're playing these days.
And to JB's point, not a lot of guys are going to get a $2.5 million New Balance deal like Jeremiah Love. So this conversation is going to keep happening because, CJ Carr could be the next one that gets that deal. But who else gets that deal? Like, you got to be Jeremiah Love level popular too. It's not like, hey, I think you're going to be really good next year. Like Nolan James. You got to be pretty popular to get that deal ahead of time.
Yeah, and New Balance is making a concerted effort to be, New Balance is really huge in baseball and Major League Baseball, and obviously in the track world. It's very selective in NBA and other spots, but it is making a concerted effort to be more involved in football.
Final question from Chris Koziak, and honestly, he got in because of his first three words here. Gentlemen of culture, how will you spend your bye week? No football, some football, but hang with the family? Full tilt football all day, but lucky you don't have to report on it, so you can fan out a bit.
I'm shooting for the latter, but there's never a no football bye weekend. That's just crazy.
That's un-American.
That's
Yeah,
just
there are enough weekends without football as is.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah. Now the you guys with younger families and stuff, that's a little bit different. But well, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing during the bye week.
That's the question. As a gentleman of culture, John Bryce, what are you doing in the bye week?
I'm glad you asked. I appreciate Chris Koziak asking. Chris, what are you doing? Let us know. I'm serious. So few people know, you guys know on this podcast, that between some personal stuff, it's very positive personal stuff, and some work travels, the illustrious Jess Bryce and I have unfortunately been apart for 16 consecutive days. It grows to like 19 or 20 by Thursday when she gets back to town from some meetings in New York. She's been out west. So I'm going to cook dinner for Jess Thursday evening. Either it will be Snake River Farms on the grill with a red wine, courtesy of a Bayha winery. Thank you guys. Or it will be a pot of chili, and I'm going to mix that with some bison meat and some ground wagyu, And then Friday morning, we are getting up early and driving to East Tennessee to visit my dear mother, Frances, and my nephews, Hunter and Bennett. And I just found out last night my brother is also coming up to Northeast Tennessee, where our family farm is, next weekend from the Chattanooga area. He's hoping to hunt. I doubt that he will allow me to hunt with him, but
Probably a
he,
good call. Probably a good call.
he is hoping to hunt. Look, I'm practically camouflaged today. You can't see me.
Pete Sampson,
Oh
bye-week
man, it's
Saturday
way more
plans?
interesting than whatever I'm doing, which I don't even know. I think I'm going to like a school trunk or treat Halloween event on Friday night, which if anyone if you're listening as a parent and goes to the events, like see a lot of parents with like Stanleys. It's not water in them. So I'll be doing that on Friday.
They all Uber home though, Pete. It's fine.
I ran.
I walk home.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
I just want to quickly interject. I ran into my Aunt Joe at Jordan Toyota the other day, and she had a Stanley, and I was educated that there was not water in there.
yeah, yeah.
It was vino.
Yeah, they do a good job with that kind of stuff. So that's Friday night. It is a unheard of youth sports free weekend in my house. Never happens. So I think I'll be tuned in. We got Vanderbilt, Missouri, and then I think what are the other big games this weekend? I think I'm just going to watch a lot of college football.
Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Is
Yeah.
that this weekend?
Yep. I am free Friday, which is nice. Saturday, also mostly free. I'll watch the first game, but then the annual medicine ball in honor of Notre Dame's med students, IU University Medical School students, at the casino this year, not at Notre Dame. So I will not be spending my bye week in the press box like I did, or on floor on the ninth floor. It wasn't the press box; it was on the ninth floor, like I have the last couple of years. This one will be at Four Winds Casino. So that is Saturday, and Pete Sampson Sunday. We got rained out in the semis and championship.
Oh.
It's been moved to this week, and as it turns out, a lot of people went on fall break for both teams. So we're just going to be playing some different guys for that game. So fall break got everybody.
I want to add two games for our faithful listeners that they definitely want to tune into for similar and entirely different reasons. Number one, BYU at Iowa State. BYU is 11. You're 12 this week. You want to start cheering against BYU. You want to make sure that the Big 12 is a one bid league.
So we're pulling for Iowa State on this podcast. Finally.
Pick them now, Pete. Pick
Yeah.
them now. That predates me, but I know it. Pick them now. Play this game in the damn Camping World Bowl. And then the other one would be Texas A&M at LSU.
Ooh.
I know you want to cheer for Texas A&M because you love Mike Elko, and I know you want to cheer for Texas A&M because you probably don't love the other head coach. The other head coach is feeling some real heat. My boss at Football Scoop, the owner of the site, lives in Baton Rouge. He's already called me about it this weekend. So there you go for your diabolical viewing pleasures. Those are two games that are big ones this weekend.
Football's on. That's the key. Get to watch something. Everybody gets to watch some football. That's what's most fun. And it is nice to not have to write about it right when you're done, right, Tim Priester? It's a good feeling. All of a sudden
man,
start
let
doing
me
your
tell
snap
you.
judgments. So, all right, for JB who just bounced, thanks for joining Irish Illustrated Insider today. We'll be back Thursday, October 23rd. Thank you, Pete Sampson, for joining us as well. Priester and I will have a detailed preview for 2 hours of Boston College on Thursday. You guys are all going to want to try to tune into that one. No, that's not true. We'll be doing other things, handling plenty of your questions. But as for today, thank you for watching and listening, Irish Illustrated Insider.